Storytelling is a powerful tool. We have seen how it mobilizes group of people and drive change, which is why understanding its impacts and how solutionists out there are employing this effective method does it. Happy New Year and welcome to our third episode of the 2024 Year in Review series, where we discuss with experts, solutionists, activists, and scientists key topics and issues of the past 2024, as well as the main themes that we covered on the platforms of the Global Landscapes platform. Today, I'm here with Emmanuela Shinta, a Dayak leader, activist, environmentalist, filmmaker, and writer with a reputation for leading and empowering young Indigenous people. She is also chapter coordinator of the GLF-X Kalimantan in Indonesia, which talking about GLF-X in the last year, 10 new organizations joined us as part of these chapters. Please make sure to just take a look, check the link on our comments to learn more about the regions represented by them. And Emmanuela, thank you for being here with us and welcome to this GLF Live.
Thank you. Adil Katarino, Baco Kasaruga, Basengat Kajubata, Arus. Greetings.
Thank you. I want to jump right into the questions because a lot happened last year. But first, why don't you tell us a little bit about the role of Young Solutionists? I know that you have an incredible project in Indonesia, in Kalimantan, that combines land rights, and you're also trying to secure protected areas and to showcase the effort of your community in environmental restoration. So how are you and your people securing, number one, livable futures during this 2024 and raising awareness through stories and more specifically storytelling?
Yeah, I believe young people have a very important role, especially in this time where media plays a very important role, you know, when we want to raise awareness about any matters. And here, for young people, especially those who commit to protect the landscape, and like me, not only the landscape, but also the heritage of my culture and the ecological, indigenous ecological knowledge from my people, we feel it's very, very important for young people to step in. And like here, we have a lot of knowledge about how we protect the landscape. And of course, we have the problems. I mean, like the problems related to the environment and climate right now is everywhere. But we need to talk about the solutions, right? And we see that young people has this very powerful tool to raise awareness about that, which is media. And I will specifically say social media storytelling. Why? Because, for example, in my people and in the context of Kalimantan landscape, we have a lot of amazing wisdoms, insights from the elders that documented from generations to generations by storytelling. And right now the challenge is it started to disappear, right? So we as young people in these generations, we don't want it to disappear. We want to keep it so we may pass it to the next generations. That's why digital storytelling is a powerful tool to do that. So we record, we capture the stories, we capture the wisdoms from the elders about how to protect the earth, about how to respect the planet, about how to protect what we have been given by the nature to us. And we document it, we keep it, we learn from it, and we pass it, not only to the next generation, but also to people outside of Kalimantan to also understand about this. So I feel this is where my generations play the roles, and that's where I feel young people can be a solutionist in terms of raising awareness and like protect securing the future of this planet.
You mentioned how the intergenerational knowledge has been passed generation to generation, how the elders on your own community and homeland has been sharing this and passing this wisdom and this knowledge, and how you're now implementing modern technologies or through these media storytelling, sharing the stories and sharing how to protect and preserve and secure a livable future as well. this 2024 was precisely a great momentum for sharing stories. As you already mentioned, our generation, younger generations, are more connected than ever on different platforms. So, how can storytelling mobilize people? By number one, sharing what is happening. You already said that we have that power now, but what really mobilize people in sharing what is happening in their communities, and what is the power, specifically the power that you see in it?
One thing that I believe, everyone's story matters. No story which is less matter, I mean, it's important, right? And about story, when we talk about the story, it's important for someone to be heard, right? So in this context, I would say, when we do this intergenerational dialogue and then record it and then learn from it, we use it not only for ourselves, because we believe this kind of wisdoms, especially those that we receive from older generations, it's important not only for us, but for the world. Because this ancient wisdom, like I always say in any of my speech or my talk, indigenous wisdoms combined with modern technology, it can be very powerful to enhance the role of young people to protect the nature. So when we try to mobilize people with storytelling, we have to be real about the stories that we tell. It's the stories that matter. It's a story that is true, and it's the story from those who are rarely heard. That's how I see about it. And um, you know, storytelling can change the narrative. So when we change the narrative, we shape the culture. And by doing so, also, we try to change persons in a very personal level, and then slowly, make impact bigger, and then finally it becomes a movement. At least that's how I do it, and that's how we do it in Kalimantan.
Wonderful. And precisely in Kalimantan and Indonesia in general, there is right now a pressing issue. I watched your documentary around how not only wildfires, but also industries are creating challenges around conservation and restoration. So precisely under the context of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration and the work that you have done in your own community and your own territory, looking back on 2024, what can we learn from the fight and work for land and conservation?
The very first things that we can learn from this fight and work for the land conservation is resilience, because it's not just about work that have a period of time, like you start this time and then you end this month. No, work for the land conservation is a commitment, it's a dedication, and it's a journey. Because land, we see land as our mother. It's precious, and we treat it not like some commodity. And in 2024, we can see there are so many indigenous elders started to talk about it, about the land management, traditional land management, respecting the nature as our mother, right? So we can learn from that. We can learn that doing this work on land and conservation, protecting the wildlife, we should do it with heart. That's the first. And then second, with resilience, because any obstacles will come on your way. It's not an easy thing, right? Like here on the ground, you fight with many giants, against many giants. And when I say giant, yes, it's a like very huge giant. But you have to be resilient. You should not stop only for one period of time or like one period of project. No, you keep doing it, even though it's challenging. But yeah, that's how you serve and become a good steward for the nature and earth.
And in the context of this journey and being a good steward for nature and biodiversity in general, what are some specific improvements or achievements that you noticed or that you learned through the course of 2024 in the context of this of restriction and also conservation of the land in general?
There is this fight everywhere for the tenure rights, especially for indigenous communities. In Indonesia, I will speak specifically for Indonesia. There is this progress, like more of the land be given back to the communities. More indigenous forests are acknowledged, and the number keeps increasing, even though it's still in the slow pace, but it's increasing. So it's a beacon of hope for us in 2024. And of course, for next year, for 2025, we hope the pace can be a little bit faster, of course. And yeah, more land will be given back to the indigenous territories so the indigenous people can continue steward the land.
In this context, 2024 was a year of COPs. We had COPs on a back-to-back basis, and always indigenous rights is at the center of the discussions, at least coming from civil society, reflecting on what happened more specifically in the biodiversity COP in Cali, Colombia, and the climate change COP in Baku, Azerbaijan. What are the key outcomes or components that you reflect in terms of land, indigenous rights as well, and biodiversity protection that you can see as an improvement, and what do you look forward moving on to 2025?
Well, I will say honestly, okay, I will be honest here, right? I would say the improvement is the inclusions. More indigenous voices are included in these COP platforms. I mean, like, it's started like from the past few years, right? But especially this year, like more indigenous voices and indigenous communities are represented in this high level platform dialogue, discussion, and the process of decision making. But obviously, I believe we can do better because there is this gap between the high level policy and the ground implementations, and it's totally different feeling. But I would say if we want to protect the forest, protect the land, and commit to the conservations, we should not waste the time. We have to go faster. We have to take like very quick action and real, of course, because we need to minimize and reduce this gap between the policies or any recommendations, any results that we get after that high level conference into the implementations. I think that's what I encourage, and that's what I expect to see for 2025. Let's make it real. Let's do it real.
Let's do it real. Let's just make it happen. And you mentioned something really powerful there, and it's inclusion. And under this context, talking about inclusion, 2024 marks the premier appearance, at least for the Global Landscapes Forum, of two indigenous Latin American organizations and one from the Caribbean as part of the GLFX chapters that we mentioned earlier. The GLFX, to give a little bit of context to our audience, is a network of locally rooted organizations transforming landscapes from the ground up and paving the way for policy change in favor of landscapes and people. Emmanuela, pretty much the chapter that you're leading in Kalimantan is focused on this, and in restoration, of course. You already mentioned what you want to see in 2025 in terms of rights at global level, in terms of indigenous people being more not only included, but also implementing their own strategies and leading the way, showing us the way in which way we can restore and protect nature as well. I want to ask you in these terms, how can we keep going? How do you see us moving forward despite the constant backlash and power inequalities? You already mentioned that resilience it's needed for us to keep on the field and moving on. But what else do you see that we need or that you get inspired to keep going despite the major power dynamics and other things that might be sometimes stopping you or trying to stop you from your goal and your mission?
I believe also one thing that we need, and we obviously should have it if we want to keep going together, is the solidarity, the understanding of each other, and collective goals, collective actions. Because Indigenous communities, yes, people like us, we are working at the front line of environmental battle. We are working on the ground, but we cannot do it without you. We cannot do it without our supporters. We cannot do it without our friends, without our allies, or those who believe in the works of the local organizations, indigenous-led initiatives that do everything that they can do to protect the forest and the land. So I will say, let's keep the communications open. Let's keep the dialogue open. Keep sharing what is in our heart. And it's not just what we need, but this is also what you need, because we work for the same goal, to protect this place that we call home, this planet. This is our home. So I believe we should do it together, and we need to keep join hands for a long, long time. So that's what I hope for the future.
Absolutely, keep going in solidarity with collective goals, collective actions, and supporting those who are working at the front line, as you already mentioned, who are facing challenges on a day-to-day basis, but that are also working with determination and outrageous optimism towards securing a livable future. Manuela, thank you for these reflections. In the context of restoration and in the context specifically of securing land rights, how can we achieve more ambition on 2025 in comparison with last year? How can we achieve more ambition in terms of securing lands for Indigenous peoples and also ensuring that these territories are fully protected with legally binding normatives as well?
Yeah. So even my personal goal, I have this ambition to secure more land, of course, to protect more land here in Kalimantan. And I believe that's the same goal that other indigenous groups have in other parts of the world, and also for our allies, because we want to secure this land. We want to protect all these wildlife and the treasures of the earth, right? But one thing right now, one problems that we have is the finance. And this is the message that I keep sending to the world leaders, to the decision makers. The climate finance that allocated to support indigenous community to protect and secure their tenure rights, we should really do it better in a faster pace. And of course, it's not enough just channeling the fund, but also we need to give the support like resources that needed for this work on the ground. Because currently the climate finance, I'm sorry, because correct, the dog, my dog. Okay, because currently the climate finance allocated for indigenous rights for this specific matter to secure the tenure right is less than 1%. And the chance for the indigenous organizations at a very ground level to get access to this fund is almost zero. So that's already the problem, right? So if we want to secure more lands, yes, we need more support on the finance that will help the community to secure their tenure rights. And we should do it in the faster pace so we can achieve a just and rapid transformation. So not only rapid, but also just for the people and the landscape. So that's my message.
A just and rapid transformation, ensuring that livelihoods are secured and the wisdom of indigenous communities are also indigenous peoples are also included on this path. Emmanuela, thank you for joining us and for sharing not only the power of storytelling, but also the way that you and other young individuals and others as well are leading the way with, again, outrage determination for a change specifically in your homeland. From the bottom of my heart, I really wish you the best with your project, and for all the change makers out there as well. Your story is inspiring. Honestly, the documentary is very inspiring, and it is not only a call to action, but also a reason for us to have hope and to take action towards a collective and shared goal. So thank you so much for joining us. To our audience, if you want to learn more about land rights, storytelling, and other interesting topics, don't hesitate to check the 2024 in review website. The link is on the comments. And our previous episodes of the series, for example, Emmanuela mentioned about finance, how important it is, climate finance. We have special around finance and what happened in 2024, as well as special episode that we recorded with filmmakers about stories and how it can drive positive change to the power of filmmaking, just to talk a little bit more about storytelling. Let us know any topic that you would like to see as part of our GLF Lives during this 2025, because we want to keep sharing, inspiring, and making the most out of our platform. See you next time and have a good one.